Hi everyone. Good afternoon everyone. We'll have two sections today for the game tomorrow. We'll start with broadcasts and we'll start with Mark at Sky Sports.
Afternoon Frank. We'll start with your first international break of the season. How have you utilised the time with the squad members that have been left around the training ground?
With work, it's a mixed bag this period. So we lose a lot of players, we've got a lot of internationals. So the ones that were here have been working and resting. You have to give them some days to spend with their families, which we did at the front end of it. And working, more on condition really, because we're still in the early stage of the season. So there's not so much tactics you can do without the big group. But the lads have worked hard. We now have the players back, relatively decent and fit, in large, and we're ready for the weekend.
Ralph Hasenhüttl took his side sailing, Eddie Howe took his side play pigeon shooting. Did you do any team building or anything like that?
Unfortunately nothing exciting to tell you. But no, sometimes I think there's a time and a place for those things, and I respect that, and we will look at those things. But I think sometimes also, it's been intense pre-season. This level now is intense, away from families a lot. So if there is an opportunity to give up, I think they prefer to be with their families rather than with me on a clay pigeon shoot or something.
One of the key positives over the course of the international break was, of course, Mason Mount making his debut for England, a player who perhaps you're invested in personally because of the link from Derby and obviously how he started this season. How proud were you to see him get that opportunity?
I was really proud. It's Tony, the work that he's put in since being a young boy. We've all seen the pictures of him as in a young Chelsea kit years ago, and his dream has come true on two levels of making his full debut for us and England now. And now I would say the hard work begins, because this is where the scrutiny ramps up. He came on, I thought he did well in both games. For the minutes that he played, he looked bright, he looked as we expect Mason to be, and now he needs to go up the gears and continue with his progression, because I think there's a lot more.
Mike Riley's been speaking publicly about VAR, obviously 4 games into the new season. As the MD of the Elite Referees Academy, he said that there's been 4 mistakes that have been made so far by VAR in the early stages of this season. Is that something you agree with? Are you happy to see that admittance that they are making mistakes and things need to change?
Well, I won't agree with 4 because it was 5, because we had one at Norwich, which was a penalty on Azpilicueta that didn't get reviewed. So I think that was probably, from my point of view, all managers will probably have their own ones that they think, but that was a clear penalty. So maybe we should have all expected a bit of an in-between moment or process where we're all coming to terms with it. I don't think any intentions are bad. They're definitely not, from when I've seen VAR up close and how it works behind the scenes. They're trying to get everything right. And what I will appreciate is the admittance that maybe there are a few things that haven't been quite right. And we need to try and nail it down as a group. So I get that. We'll all work together. It's here to stay at the moment as we stand. And let's try and get it as well as we can. It's still not easy. It's not as clear cut as everyone imagines, that you get a video replay and all of a sudden everybody's happy. It's obviously not that way, but if they have the humility to say that we can all improve, that's a good thing.
Up next in the Premier League for you, Wolves, a side that have already played 10 competitive matches since coming back from pre-season. They've only lost 1. Gives you an indication as to how tough the weekend will be and the form that they're in.
Yeah, a very good team. Got a lot of credit last year, quite rightly so, to move up to the Premier League and perform how they did. A good way of playing, a style that is through at the back and very dangerous in terms of their attacking players, what they can do to you. A great record against the so-called bigger teams last season for a reason, because they defend well and counter-attack really quickly. Difficult atmosphere in the stadium, good support behind the home team. So we need to be ready on all levels, because it doesn't surprise me that they haven't been beaten or their record's good recently.
How impressed have you been with Nuno and the way he's handled himself since coming to English football? Of course, promotion from the Championship, and adapted so well to the Premier League.
Very impressed from the outside. I don't think you could. You can only see positives from the outside, and it's hard to know what exactly goes on. But the way they got promoted, the way they then sustained it, the way he shows himself in the media and with his players and the unity that they seem to have, the sort of good style they have. It's not unique, of course, but it's their own style that they really believe in. I appreciate managers that have their way and stick to it and have got success through it and stay I know, humble, but you don't hear him shouting from the rooftops. So I like the way he operates.
And just finally for me, what's the Chelsea team news and the latest with Callum Hudson-Odoi? Is he due to play at 23's game today?
Yeah, Callum's going to play for the 23s this evening, along with Reece James. So they'll get minutes, which is important now, because Callum's been training with us for a while now, but there are still some issues. We need to make sure that he's okay with the actual injury itself, in terms of the strength of where the injury is. And he'll need to get match fit, so these games are really beneficial for him. So it'll be great to see that. And Reece James, similarly, not such a long-term out, but he needs games for the similar reasons. And I'm pleased with that. They're two young players that are going to be big for this club going forward, and we'll all be watching tonight.
Adam, Frank, where's Rudiger at with his fitness? Is he ready to play?
Rudiger's fit. Yeah, Rudiger's fit to play.
Will he go straight back in? How important a role has he got to play this season?
That's obviously a choice of myself, but he'll have an important role. I know how important he's been for the club and the team since he's been here. Personality, character, quality as a defender, international defender, and we've missed him, as we've missed a few frontline players that will certainly strengthen us as a group, and certainly pleased to have him back.
He's got that leadership as well that you need.
Yeah, I think it's important in the team, particularly when everyone talks about how young we are and how younger we're becoming. I don't want a young team for the sake of it. I want leaders within that. Rudiger's not old, but he certainly needs to take on the responsibility of being a leader. I see it in his personality that it has to be channeled obviously in the right direction, and he can then be very influential himself for the team, but also to Hudson-Odoi and Tomori and Mason Mount, all these players, as happens when you become slightly more senior, more experienced, and he's certainly ready to take on those roles.
How would you assess Tammy Abraham's development this season?
Well, very good. I'm delighted for Tammy with his goals in the last two games. Keep saying that, but his attitude and his enthusiasm to train and improve is always there daily. Hence the goals, because I think they've always come hand in hand. And similar to what I said about Mason before, I want more, and he wants more. They want more, so he'll have to continue, because it's there's competition. Giroud, Batshuayi, they all want that spot, or they want those spots up front, and they all need to be on their toes.
Okay, last one, Lazar.
Frank, could I ask about Ngolo and Nkate? How's good's the break been for them, and are they in great condition for this busy period you've got coming?
Kovacic is fit to play, and Ngolo's not. He's not fit yet, so he still has issues with his ankle. The medical team are working with him. He's in a bit of a transitional period now where we're trying to get him on the pitch, and he's doing some physical work, but this game comes too soon for him.
Has he got a long time out, or is it just is he close to coming back?
Yeah, hopefully close. Yeah, I think I don't want to jump the gun, because we're waiting for improvement for that final step to get him, where we want him to be on the pitch, obviously. But hopefully that will be within the next week or so. And again, alongside Rudiger and Willian and Callum and Ruben, big players that are going to really up our level, because they're going to compete to play, obviously.
And Pedro's okay as well?
Pedro's fine, yeah.
Okay, cameras off please. We'll do the dailies now.